Jesus said, "Go the extra mile." Good morning and welcome to 755 Live. For about 5 minutes, we'll talk about easy to remember soundbite versions of what Jesus said so we can put these commands into action and live the abundant life Jesus promised. Today's Jesus said comes from Matthew 5:38 through 42. And so we're going to read that today from the New Living Translation. "You have heard the law that says the punishment must match the injury." And this was the Old Testament law. We'll talk about the law in a minute. An eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. "But I say," and this is Jesus talking, "do not resist an evil person. If someone slaps you on the right cheek, offer the other cheek also." Remember, he said the right cheek. We'll come back to that. "If you are sued in court," verse 40, "and your shirt is taken from you, give your coat too. If a soldier demands that you carry his gear for a mile," and this was the law of the country at this time, "carry it 2 miles. Give to those who ask, and don't turn away from those who want to borrow." Jesus said, "Go the extra mile." Now, these were laws, the Old Testament law and also the law of the culture of the day. In the Old Testament law, this was for a judge, an eye for an eye or a tooth for a tooth, meaning that the punishment should equal the crime. But throughout Matthew 5, Jesus is comparing that letter of the law or the specifics to the actual spirit or the heart of the law. There are two sides to any kind of law, both the spiritual law of the Bible and the laws of society. And Jesus is dealing with that. And he said, talking about God's law in Matthew 5:17, he said, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish or do away with these things, but to fulfill them." And that word literally means to fill up completely. It was a word that means to overwhelm, like if you dunked a garment in water, it would be overwhelmed with the water. So to completely overwhelm or to fill up, Jesus was filling up this command, an eye for an eye or tooth for a tooth, by saying there's a heart to the law that we need to follow first. And there was another law in this time period too, man's law. And sometimes those laws are not what we would want, not what we would like. But as long as they don't contradict the law of Scripture, as long as they don't contradict the teachings of Jesus, how are we supposed to respond? Well, the extra mile that Jesus is talking about is on the high road. Jesus said, "Go the extra mile." The extra mile that Jesus is talking about here is higher than the absolute right or wrong. Jesus is filling up even this wrong action that was demanded by the civil law or the government law of the time. A Roman soldier could literally slap a Jew without any consequences unless they died. The right cheek, well, think about this. Most soldiers were right-handed, and to slap someone on the right cheek is kind of awkward at best, but it was a back slap that would be a degrading kind of slap that would hit you on the right cheek. And Jesus was saying, when that happens, turn the other cheek. This wasn't a passive action. This was saying we don't respond in the same way that we're treated wrong. Go the second mile, also not passive. The law was that a soldier could require a Jew to carry their backpack, their gear, for up to 1 mile, but that's all they could. So Jesus said, when that happens, offer to go a second mile. That would put a soldier in a very awkward position because they would be breaking the law by demanding that you carry it 2 miles. But Jesus is saying, go above and beyond. Now, we see that these teachings and example of Jesus did actually make a difference. Simon Peter was not exactly a passive person. He cut off the servant's ear the night that he denied Christ. But here's what he wrote in his letter, in his epistle, the first one that we have in chapter 2, verse 13 through 16. For the Lord's sake, submit to all human authority. Did you get that? All human authority, whether the king as head of state or the officials he has appointed. For the king has been sent has sent them to punish those who do wrong and to honor those who do right. It is God's will that your honorable lives should silence those ignorant people who make foolish accusations against you. For you are free, yet you are God's slaves. So don't use your freedom as an excuse to do evil. It's not about the absolute right or wrong. It's about the heart of the matter. And what did Jesus tell us to do? Jesus told us not to fight back, not to take our revenge, to actually go the extra mile. Not the easiest thing to do sometimes, but that is the higher road that abundant life lives on. So Jesus said, go the extra mile. How can we put that into action today? Thank you for listening. You'll find a different command of Jesus each weekday at the Bible Plan at bible.today.church. If this is meaningful to you, it would mean a lot to me. If you like it, if you share it, if you comment, have an amazing day. And remember, follow Jesus today. Love first.